I don't know about you guys out there, but I am getting sick to the back teeth now of pundits, ex-players, people that have had something to do with Newcastle United in the past, coming out and weighing in with loads of negative bull rot every single day in the media about Newcastle United. And for me, it's doing my absolute swede in. I'm sick of it. I really am. And as the headline down there says, Mark Lawrenson, shut your mouth. This is the Daily News. Hi everybody, I'm Paul. Welcome back to the Toon Review YouTube channel. Thank you for watching today's video. And as usual, before we get into it, if you do enjoy today's show, please do stick a like on the video. It really does help us with the search results on YouTube, etc. And of course, if you're new to the channel, please do hit that subscribe button, free to do so. And of course, the notification bell, which will let you know when we go live or we upload any videos like this one today. So thank you in advance for that, guys. Right, let's get into this because Mark Lawrenson's had a dig, and so has Darren Ambrose. He's been weighing in on the Anthony Gordon situation. Now, I wish these people would just back off and stay the hell away from Newcastle United because they don't know what's going on behind the scenes. They don't know anything. And Mark Lawrenson, well, if you're old enough to remember the Entertainers years, he was brought in as a defensive coach, which was the worst decision we could ever possibly make because it was a complete failure. He did nothing to help our defence, and the saltiness from Lawrenson over the years since has been there for all to see. He's absolutely hated on Newcastle United for a long time now, but this new one just does my head in because he's talking about the negative football that Newcastle United play again. And, you know, I'll quote him because this is what's come out. He says, this time wasting has crept into football, and for me, it takes some of the fun away from it. All of a sudden, teams now realise, and I'll tell you who the worst are, Newcastle United. Now, for me, as a Newcastle United fan this season, my fun of football has gone right through the roof because of what we've been used to for the last 15 goddamn years. So Mark Lawrenson hasn't got an absolute Scooby-Doo what he's talking about. Not a Scooby-Doo. The football has been brilliant from Newcastle United this season, and that's what a lot of punters don't seem to realise. Because when you watch Newcastle this season, some of the passing, the movement, the goals that we've scored have been sensational. Compared to what we've had to, you know, the dross we've had to watch in the past, this has been incredible. And this old dinosaur has come out and said that Newcastle United are the worst for time-wasting tactics. I don't understand where this has come from. And Eddie Howe has come out many, many times in his interviews and said he doesn't know where it's come from either. Yeah, sure. There's been times where we've been leading the game and we've had a bit of time wasting to play the game out. Every single team in Football League does that, whether it's the Premier League or the National League. If you're winning by a goal, you go into the corner or you do everything you can to win the football match. And that's what Eddie Howe has engraved into these players, to win football matches. We've not had that before because, you know, teams have come at us and we've buckled. We haven't been able to see games out in the past. But it is very, very different now because we see these games out and pick up the 3 points. But when you've got knobheads like this coming out and saying ridiculous things about Newcastle United, then it just infuriates me. He says Newcastle do it all the time now. Do it all the time? I mean, was he watching the Brentford game the way we played in that game? You know, we were terrible in the first half. We certainly didn't time waste then. You know, it was Brentford that were throwing themselves to the floor most of the time. Ivan Toney looking for a penalty nearly every cross that came into the bloody box. But the football we played in the first 20 minutes of that second half was nothing short of sensational. We blew Brentford out the water. And we continued to attack in that game all the way. Then Brentford had their turn to have an attack at us to try and get back in the game, which you would expect from a home side. But we didn't time waste that game. We played bloody well. He says, in regards to next season, I'm not wanting to wish away this season, but in regards to next season, I think the Premier League are going to have a little bit of a look at this. I mean, is he kidding me? You know, you've got Martin Tyler and Gary Neville sitting there at Anfield the other day saying it was genius tactics by Arsenal. You know, genius tactics to play the ball out or to roll around on the floor or to feign injury, whatever it was. It was gamesmanship and they were loving it. Yet if it's Newcastle United, this wrinkled old haggis comes out and says this bunch of crap. Honestly, it's ridiculous. He says maybe even say, I tell you what, if you can walk off, off you go. And the game will go on, and I think that would quickly stop. It's January here all the time now. Now, he's talking in general about Newcastle United because he has this thing with our football club that he just can't get out of his little wrinkled old head. That he failed at Newcastle United. And he's been salty about us ever since. And I get sick to death of idiots like this coming out on a daily basis calling out Newcastle United when other clubs in the Football League do it all the time. You know, we've seen Arsenal do it in the past. We've certainly seen Liverpool, even Man City, what they were doing against us when they were 2-0 up. Going into the corner. Is that not time wasting, Lawrenson? It is. It's deliberate time wasting to play the game out, which is exactly what Eddie Howe does with our players. So you can stick that remark where the sunshine don't shine, you monumental bellend. Now, on to Darren Ambrose as well. He's come out and said, calling Anthony Gordon disgraceful for the way he came off against Brentford. Now, we all know that he overreacted when he came off. But this lad is still a kid. He's still a kid. He's still learning the game. Whatever you say about him, he's experienced for Everton, but he's still a kid. He's come to a big club in Newcastle United, and yes, he wants to play football. He wants to be on that pitch. And one thing he will have learned from this game, right? He'll have learned that petulance doesn't get you anywhere, right? Now, everybody's telling Eddie Howe what he should do. This is frustrating me. All these plastic fans on social media saying, oh, he should be banned for the next game, suspend him for the Villa game. Not even taking into account that Eddie Howe probably sorted it within 2 seconds of getting back into the dressing room. Anthony Gordon was in the team photo at the end with a huge smile on his face. Everything's forgotten. He's in training today working his arse off. So let Eddie Howe do his job, right? Stop coming out and telling people how to do the jobs, right? Yes, it was, Anthony Gordon will be embarrassed by it. There's no doubt about it, right? But it was done and dusted the second they got into the dressing room. Eddie Howe came out and said, words were said, it's all sorted, now we'll move on. And that's exactly what he's going to do. Whether Anthony Gordon starts at Villa or not, or whether he's on the bench, it doesn't matter to me. As long as we go out there and win the game. But asking for him to be suspended and all of this, I mean, I don't get where some of our fans come from sometimes. I really don't. You know, we're challenging for a Champions League spot, and you want to leave one of our new signings out just because he was a bit petulant coming off the pitch. He's a kid. We've seen numerous players do this in the past. You look at Man City last night, Kevin De Bruyne came off. And he was in a right mood when he came off. But was a song and dance made about that? No. Granted, he didn't grab the arm of his manager or anything like that, but it's still, even at his age, Kevin De Bruyne is showing that passion, that little bit of petulance that he hates coming off. But nothing said about that because it's not Newcastle United. And everything is made so crap because it's us. It's bull rot, guys. It's bull rot. If you're a proper fan of Newcastle United, you will want Anthony Gordon involved without a doubt against Villa. Because it's a huge game for us. It's the 2 informed clubs in the Premier League going at it at each other. You want your best players available. I don't care what anybody says. You need your best players on that football pitch on Saturday. Right, now moving on to a couple of bit of other news. Now, some good news for Newcastle United is that Miggy Almiron is back in full training. Now, this obviously doesn't mean that he's going to be involved on Saturday. He may make the bench if he's getting a full week's training in. He may well be on the bench, which is wonderful news for Newcastle United and certainly for Eddie Howe because it strengthens that bench even further to what we really need. You know, so we'll have good players on the bench to come on, if anybody's having a dodgy game. Now, we know we need to be a lot better than we were at Brentford in the first half. We need to be at Villa from the off because they're a very, very good side at the moment under Emery, and he's got them moving up that league table. So it's a very, very big game. I'm looking forward to it. It should be an absolute cracking game of football. But to have Miggy back in training is great news because, once again, it strengthens that squad for the run-in. Now, Carl Darlow has been surprisingly linked with a possible move to Burnley in the summer. Now, Burnley, of course, have just got promotion under Vincent Kompany. They've played some fantastic football this season. But one thing that has been in the media is their need for a goalkeeper next season. Now, Carl Darlow has been touted around as being the man who could do that job for Burnley. He's very well established in the Premier League, got great experience, and Burnley, it depends where they go in the summer and what they spend. But under Vincent Kompany, I expect them to be away from the relegation zone next season. I think they'll be a mid-table side because Vincent Kompany has proven to be a fantastic manager and getting the very, very best out of his players. So for me, it's very, very exciting for Karl Darlow. I mean, he's having a great time at Hull at the minute. He's now made 8 appearances for the Humberside side, and he's got 3 clean sheets, and he's really adorned himself to the Hull City fans. They can speak no bad of him. They've really taken to Karl Darlow this season, so good on him, because obviously he needed to continue his career somewhere, and he's doing that with Hull City. Now, Amanda Staveley has also been speaking again. Now, I did a video the other day about her coming out and saying about what's going to happen to St James's Park, what the long-term plans are for the cathedral. But she's also now spoken about the training ground and said that they are actively looking to build a new training ground. We knew this was the case, that it needed a revamp, the current one, and they've spent a fortune on that one already to get it up to some sort of standard for these Premier League players. Of course, we remember seeing players taking ice baths in wheelie bins and stuff under Mike Ashley. That's all gone now, obviously. They have spent a lot of money on the current training ground, but the long-term goal is to once again build on from this, build on and make a new training ground, state-of-the-art, that is worthy of a Premier League side and worthy of Newcastle United. And I can't wait to see what they do with this, because for a fact, you look at the infrastructures in Saudi Arabia and the Middle East, fantastic buildings, modern-day buildings and things like that. They'll have a say in the training ground. It's going to be a wonderful place for our Newcastle United players to train, to recover from injuries, to spend time. There'll be a lot there. That just isn't there right now because it hasn't been touched for so long. So that's very, very exciting. So there you go, guys. That is the daily news. Now, I want to know in the comments what you think about Lawrenson and to a degree Darren Ambrose and all these ex-players and people that have had something to do with Newcastle in the past. And not just them, just, pundits in general coming out with all this bull rot about Newcastle United and how negative they are, because quite frankly, I've loved the football we've played this season. I've absolutely really enjoyed going, sitting at St James's Park, watching us play, watching us on the commentaries when we do the away games. It's just been fantastic. The football is a joy to watch. Some of the passing we couldn't have dreamed about seeing in this side 2 to 3 years ago. And now look at the football that we're playing. The goals that we're scoring, just tremendous. Yet people always want to come out and try and ruin this football club and give us a bad name or a bad vibe. They literally can't say anything out of the stupid mouths positive about Newcastle. They really can't. There's a handful of them, yes. There is a handful out there who are very appreciative of what Newcastle United have done this season. But there are some right knobheads out there today. There really is. And they're in the media every day trying to make themselves known again. I mean, Lawrenson's as wrinkled as an old dishcloth now. He's well gone. So, he's coming out with bullshit to try and make himself relevant again. And he just, because he was such a failure at Newcastle, he's got that little bit of saltiness for us, and he has done for a long time now. So, jog on, Lawrenson. But let me know in the comments, please, what you think about it, because I'm intrigued. The negativity, look, at the end of the day, it doesn't bother us. It makes us laugh and stuff like that. But it does get annoying as well, because we know the football that we've played this season and we've just been badmouthed by absolute bell ends everywhere. So let us know what you think. The training ground, are you excited about that? And of course, Miggy's return to training strengthens the squad again. Now, I don't think he'll start at Villa by any stretch of the imagination. I think he'd be on the bench, but it is exciting to have another member coming back of the squad and strengthen it even further. But thank you very much for watching, guys. If you have enjoyed the video, as I said at the start, do hit that like button. It really does help us move up those search results on YouTube. And of course, if you're new and you like what you see, come and be part of the community by hitting that subscribe button. Free to do so, and also that notification bell that'll let you know when we go live or we upload. You can become a member of the Toon Review, hitting that join button just underneath there. Lots of members' prizes to give away. And of course, you can catch us on all our socials as well, which are listed in the description. But thank you very much for watching, guys. Have a great Wednesday afternoon, and we'll see you very soon. Take care.